Who want one last trip to the long trail?
We have a news article here. This has taken place during the PlayX4 event where Hamrog was revealed, but this is just now surfacing in the community because this whole entire news article, this Q&A, was done in Japanese. The Q&A starts off with a brief quote from Harada. "We are currently putting our effort into developing Tekken 8. It's not easy for all games to go smoothly before release. Tekken 8 is not easy, but we are preparing for the release and while keeping up with the schedule." The first question here basically asks, I know that Tekken 8 will be released on PC, but I was wondering about the recommended specifications and if crossover characters like Noctis and Goki from Tekken 7 makes a return. Goki is Akuma for those of you who don't know. Harada says, regarding guest characters, it's not always assumed that they will appear in the game. Goki had a storyline in Tekken 7. We'll have guest characters based on the synergy of the game. So I don't think we can say anything definite at this point. Now, I have another video where I want to talk real deep about guest characters. There's another fascinating news article, and I will go really in detail about guest characters because I'll save that discussion. Subscribe, stay tuned, let's move on. But know that the guest character conversation will continue. The next question says, with the introduction of Jun Kazama in Tekken 8, there are a lot of excitement around the possibility of returning characters that didn't appear in Tekken 7. I was wondering how many older characters like Baek-Doo-san, Roger, and Bruce could be released this time around. Harada says, it's difficult to answer the question about the release of past characters. If we release about 70 characters at once right after launch, newcomers would think 70 characters and veterans would think 70 characters to dig. If anything, it would make it harder to sell. There will be a lot of characters in Tekken 8, but it won't be 60 or 70 at a time. He kind of dodges the question about Baek-Doo-san, Roger, and Bruce. I'll just give you the information that I know off the top of my head. Roger probably will never be a playable character in a game again. I talk about this all the time, but PETA simply will not allow it. If you want to learn more, I have videos, you can go find those, but Baek-Doo-san, he's probably a no way as well because Hamrog has more of his attack. Bruce, he's definitely going to be there. I have a video that just released, you guys can check that out and learn more about it, but that's what I think about those three characters. But on the topic of 60, 70 character rosters, I don't think anybody wants that. Tekken 7 has like 53 characters and the game is madness, so I don't think we want to repeat that same problem. Too many characters tank Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and too many characters is also hurting Tekken 7 right now. The next question, fighting games has been focusing a lot on single player content lately, with the upcoming Street Fighter 6 also having extensive player mode. I'm wondering if Tekken 8 will have content like Tekken Force mode that existed in previous games. The reason why I think this is interesting because this is the first time that I've seen someone directly ask Harada mentioning Tekken Force, and this is pretty much the only thing they could do that's a direct competitor to Mortal Kombat's Crypt and then also Street Fighter 6, open world hub, whatever they call it. Harada says, I think the value of a game varies from user to user. Some people think it's important to play for a long time, while others find great value in playing and having fun. It's all different, and since Tekken 8 will be released first on home consoles, there are a lot of additional elements. There's enough time, the volume, and content. Even though he doesn't say yes, it sounds positive. And I really hope Tekken Force is there. Team Battle and all that other stuff, that's for sure going to be there. But Tekken Force, like I said, is the only thing that can really compete with what Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat has done in the past, right? The next question, you put a lot of effort into making Tekken 8 a beginner-friendly fighting game, but there were many regrets about the training mode in previous games, such as the difficulty in setting it up and the need to purchase frame data. Can you briefly explain the training mode is like in Tekken 8? Harada says, that's one of the things that's hard to say at the moment. Asking users to enjoy the tutorial and training modes is like asking people who bought a vacuum cleaner to read the manual. We believe tutorials like this are best suited for intermediate players rather than beginners. But as for Tekken 8's training mode, we'll have to wait a bit longer for reveal more information. I think what Harada says here is very, very true. When someone buys a brand new game, they might do a tutorial. Some may, some might not. I never do a tutorial, but a beginner wants to see if the game is even fun before they even start to try to get better at it or whatever. And the example that he gives, saying a vacuum cleaner, someone buys it and it's like you're trying to get them to read the manual, that is how people see practice mode. You're trying to get them to read the manual of the game. I don't want to go on a long rant, but I see a lot of players have this stigma towards beginners and like, you guys aren't getting good at the game because you're not practicing. It's like a lot of us are so out of touch with the beginner experience to where we can't even put ourselves in those players' shoes. The next question is the end. It says, do you have any final words for those waiting for Tekken 8? Yasuda basically says that he's very happy to be able to talk about Tekken 8, and also he's disappointed that he can't share more about Tekken 8. But one of the things that he says at the end is, we will continue to work hard to make not only Tekken 8, but also Tekken 7 a great game. I think that's very interesting because Tekken 7, it's a great game, but it's a great game in a very bad shape. So Ikeda wasn't there in person. He was there through the video call. You can see a picture where he's talking in the background on the monitor. And he basically says that he's sorry that he can't be there in person. He's very busy with working on Tekken 8, but he's going to keep on working on Tekken 8. What Harada says is kind of interesting, and it kind of reconfirms what he says in the past. The Tekken series is a smaller game than you might think in terms of user population. As you can see from the long-term record, it has a strong influence in Korea and Japan. In Japan, Tekken is played by 3% of the population, and the same is true in Korea. But it's always more influential than the 3% figure. And some examples of what Harada is talking about: there was an anime where one of the characters was playing Tekken. There was a TV show that had Tekken like playing in the background. That's kind of what he means, like the culture of Japan, even though they may not play Tekken, it do make an appearance in anime, TV shows, and commercials and stuff from time to time.